Welcome to Super Showdowns, the ultimate destination for epic battles and legendary showdowns. Join us as we put iconic superheroes, villains, and mythological figures against each other in thrilling matches of strength, strategy, and skill. The skies above Earth were crimson, bleeding light through broken clouds as something vast and unnatural loomed in orbit. Cities fell silent. Animals fled from forests. The oceans churned without wind. Something was coming, something older than time, darker than death. In the upper atmosphere, Omni-Man hovered motionless, his cape flickering like a torn banner in a silent storm. He had sensed it before the satellites did. The energy that erupted through the heavens was foreign, cold, cosmic, and utterly unyielding. He had faced world-ending threats before. He had destroyed fleets, broken planetary defenses, and drowned civilizations in fire. But this was different. Then it came, a breach in space itself, not a ship, not a portal, a will incarnated. As a silhouette, broad-shouldered with glowing red eyes that burned like dying stars, Darkseid had arrived. From Apocalypse, he had watched Earth's recent conflicts unfold, a world of chaos, ripe with potential. But there was one anomaly that intrigued him. Not Superman, not the Guardians, not even the metahumans, but this Viltrumite warlord masquerading as a hero, a conqueror pretending to be a protector. "You do not belong here," Omni-Man called out, his voice cutting through the thin air. "Leave this world or face me." Darkseid said nothing at first. He floated closer, eyes glowing, hands clasped behind his back, regal in his menace. Earth was beneath them, unaware of the conversation echoing between titans. "I have crushed empires for less arrogance," Omni-Man added, narrowing his eyes. "You are not from this universe," Darkseid finally replied, his voice like cracking stone, "and yet you dream of subjugating it. You wear the cloak of a savior, but your heart beats with tyranny." Omni-Man's jaw tensed. "What I do for order. My people are extinct," Darkseid interrupted, "and you are adrift, grasping for purpose. You invaded this world under the pretense of love, but you planned to rule it by fear." Nolan felt rage creep into his core. "I brought stability. I eliminated weakness. Earth is stronger because of me." Darkseid floated closer until they were nearly face to face. "You are a footnote in a dying era. I am inevitable. You conquer for empire. I erase free will." Omni-Man's fists clenched. "Then come down and try." But Darkseid didn't move. He raised his hand and motioned toward the planet below. "This Earth has tasted false gods. Kryptonians, Lanterns, Atlanteans. But I am the final god. I bring the anti-life equation, and with it, I end choice itself." "You're not a god," Omni-Man growled. "You're just another tyrant in love with the sound of your own voice." The flicker of the Omega effect danced behind Darkseid's eyes. "I have broken beings made of thought, crushed time itself, and reduced entire pantheons to ash. I have walked in the mind of Orion and unmade his future. And you, Viltrumite, are nothing more than a rabid dog off its leash."
Hey you, don't just watch. Subscribe please.
Without another word, Omni-Man launched forward, fists blazing, colliding with Darkseid in a shockwave that bent the sky. But before the blow could land, Darkseid vanished, not by speed, but by sheer displacement, reappearing behind Omni-Man. With a calm, terrible grace. "You attack like a beast," Darkseid said, his voice unchanged. "But I am not prey." Omni-Man turned in a blur, but Darkseid's gaze lit with fire. Red Omega beams erupted from his eyes, curved, impossible to predict, slamming into Omni-Man's side and sending him spiraling through orbit like a meteor. He righted himself above the Pacific, eyes burning with fury. From the wreckage of clouds, Darkseid descended, The two hovered above Earth, god and warlord, staring at each other through the thin veil of atmosphere. Below, cities flickered with electricity, unaware that extinction circled their skies. "Why Earth?" Omni-Man asked, spitting blood into the void. "There are billions of worlds." Darkseid finally showed a trace of amusement. "Because this Earth is dangerous." He raised a hand and space itself split, revealing flickers of Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, versions of them in battle, in ruin, even kneeling in chains before a distant, inevitable future. All possibilities collapsing into one truth: Darkseid wins. "I have seen the threads," he continued. "This planet is the last spark in a multiverse of dying stars. It is the seed of resistance, and so it must bend or burn." Omni-Man steadied his breath. "Then you'll have to go through me." Darkseid smiled, a terrifying, hollow thing. "I already have." Suddenly, something deep within Nolan's mind cracked. A voice, not his own, whispered impossible truths. Visions poured in, of his son Mark kneeling before Darkseid, of his own soul twisted into servitude, of Earth becoming another apocalypse. Was it real? A trick? A warning? He roared and shook off the visions, but doubt had been seeded. He launched. Forward again, fists raised, this time with no hesitation. Darkseid caught the punch midair with one hand. The force split the clouds and cracked the thermosphere. But Darkseid didn't budge. "I am the end of all hope." And then, with one gesture, he sent Omni-Man crashing into Earth like a burning star. The skies screamed. The world looked up. War had begun. The impact crater stretched for miles, a molten scar carved into the American Northwest. Trees were vaporized. Mountains wept fire. Omni-Man rose from the center, his Viltrumite armor cracked, cape in tatters, eyes burning red with rage. The ground trembled. Then, from the smoke, he came. Darkseid, untouched, stepped from the sky as if gravity bent itself for him. Each stride echoed like thunder, each moment pulsing with the weight of inevitability. Nolan charged without a word, fist cocked back with the might of 1 billion dead stars. Their collision shattered the sound barrier, sent tectonic waves through the Earth's crust. Punch after punch rained down, each strike denting the air itself. Nolan's blows would have split mountains, torn through battleships, but Darkseid absorbed them, unflinching, until he struck back. A backhand sent Omni-Man flying through a dozen pine forests. He skidded through rock and steel, crashing into a dam that exploded behind him. Water surged like a tidal wave, drowning valleys. But Nolan wasn't down yet. He roared, a beast's roar, primal and wild, and shot from the flood like a torpedo, slamming into Darkseid midair and driving him through the clouds, past the stratosphere, into the cold silence of space. In orbit, they clashed again. Earth spun beneath them like a ticking time bomb. Omni-Man gained momentum, blow after blow. He cracked Darkseid's armor. Blood, if it could be called that, dripped from the corner of the god's mouth. Nolan didn't stop. He grabbed Darkseid and hurled him toward the moon with enough force to quake the surface, and follow he did. They collided on the lunar plain, raising clouds of dust that never settled. Nolan pressed his advantage, smashing Darkseid into craters, pounding him through layers of bedrock. For a moment, just a moment, the god seemed vulnerable. But then came the mistake. Omni-Man hesitated, panting, bleeding, thinking perhaps he had a chance. That's when Darkseid rose, slowly, deliberately. His chest expanded. His eyes blazed red. "No more games," he rumbled. And then came the Omega beams. Twin serpents of impossible energy twisted through the vacuum, following Nolan no matter how fast he flew. He dodged left, they curved. He ducked through an asteroid belt. They followed. He phased through space debris. They split and reformed. When they finally struck, it wasn't fire or heat. It was unmaking. The beams hit him from behind, burning through his shoulder and side, sending him careening back to Earth in a comet of pain. He crashed in the Sahara, carving a trench through sand and stone for miles. He barely moved. Darkseid appeared above him moments later. "You fight well," he said, voice low, "like a dying star." Nolan coughed blood, then stood barely. His body was broken, his spirit fraying, but his pride burned. "I won't kneel," he growled. Darkseid raised a hand. "You don't have to." He clenched his fist, and gravity itself turned against Nolan. The ground crushed him, the air choked him, the weight of entire solar systems folded inward on his body. Bones snapped, vision blurred. Still, he stood. With a final surge, he threw one last punch, one last scream of defiance. Darkseid caught his fist with ease. "Your will is strong," he said, "but mine is eternal." And with that, Darkseid struck him down. A final blow to the chest that echoed through space-time, collapsing Nolan into the sand. Not dead, but broken. And then the sky opened. A boom tube crackled. Parademons descended like locusts. The invasion had begun. Earth would fall, not through brute force, but through submission. Darkseid stood over Omni-Man's barely conscious body. "You fought like a god," he whispered, "but now kneel like a man." The last thing Omni-Man saw before darkness claimed him was Earth's sky turning black.